Antan Iltulian Meldanin, and thank you once again for joining me. My name is Lord Aramil, and today is a special day, as it is the day before Valentine's Day. Yes, I said the word day a lot right there, but it is in fact. Ah, and that means we are but a couple days away from one of my favorite days of the year. I'm still saying day a lot, which is President's Day, or as I like to call it, 50% off on all chocolate day. Yay. Ah, but yes, it's a good day. It's another Saturday, so I'm always happy to be here with you all, doing the D&D chatting and all that good stuff. I have my tea, which unfortunately I got like half an hour ago, which means it is now room temperature. Tepid. Anyways, today we are talking about romance. Yes, love and lust in Dungeons and Dragons. Now, where to begin? So the first thing that you have to remember in almost any game is, as a DM, know your players, and as a player also, just figure out everyone else. Understand the level of consent that is being given. Some groups will go into greater detail than other groups. Okay. Uh, Usually for myself, I will set up an encounter and then discreetly draw a veil across any narrative happenings. Uh, I find that that's generally pretty safe. People can fill in the blanks, and all's well. Sorry, still messing around with my camera. But I find that to be the most effective, well, maybe not most effective, but the easiest and most comfortable for a lot of people. Especially when we're all just around the gaming table. Sometimes it can be difficult for players to, you know, distance themselves imaginatively uh, between flirting with, you know, the um, the handmaiden of the queen and flirting with me. And that's understandable. You are talking to me, even if your character is talking to the handmaiden, and it can be uh, amusing and awkward in equal measures. I have found that that is one advantage of the well, Roll20 and online D&D is there is some separation, which of course has its downsides too, but you get the idea that it is easier to flirt with an NPC when you're looking just at the NPC's icon. I'll try and pull up one NPC because I'm actually going to use her for a fair amount of today's video. Where are you? There you are. Okay, so romance and even just casual encounters, let's say, don't often pop up in my campaigns. I don't know if my players are special or if that just is how it goes in a lot of games. We haven't had a lot of the horny bard kind of players. So, uh, we've. I shouldn't. I won't say that, none of this happened. Certainly, we have had promiscuous characters before. Actually, quite recently, our changeling in my Monday campaign, decided he wanted to make a little bit of extra cash and played Streetwalker in a army encampment and was disappointed in how much, or how little, I should say, uh, they made. So, sorry, bud. But with that in mind, that is, I think, the first time I've ever asked anyone to do a perform sexual techniques role. Uh, Speaking of, there is a book for it. It's D&D 3.5. There's a book for it. In this specific case, we are talking about the Book of Erotic Fantasy, which is a third-party book, of course. And the book itself has a few valuable nuggets of information. All right. And you know what? I'm going to bring up one such. Okay. Here we go. Voila. Yes. This is the interspecies crossbreeding table. Or, as I like to call it, the Horny Bard's checklist or to-do list. Yes, so as you can see here, it's pretty simple, uh, relatively expansive. Basically, can X mix with Y? I guess I shouldn't use Y because that is part of the. But yeah, it's basically, yes, Y, it can crossbreed. M will kind of make a hybrid, and then N for no. These things will not do anything. I'm trying to. So an orc and a centaur aren't doing anything for each other. Um, so this is fun. This is useful, honestly. Or at least I think it's useful. I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of neat, just in general. It's kind of funny in other ways. Like if you look at Dragon, for instance. Yeah, approximately there. And it's just Y's across. That's funny, to me. Same for Celestials and for. Oh. Hello, Claire. Yes, the book comes up quickly. Yeah, let's see. Celestials and Fiends are also almost always cross fertile. Yeah, exactly. Scientifically, it's fascinating. Uh, from a role play perspective, it's pretty cool. You can think about like, what would a sprite mixed with a bugbear? Ooh, what would that look like? Um, let's see. What would a Triton mixed, or well, yeah, a Triton mixed with an elf, or take your pick. Just look through it, think about it. I'll stop thinking about it. uh, okay, and that's easily found with a quick Google image search, even with safe search turned on. You don't have to peruse the naughty book. Don't worry. Caffeine. So that's really helpful. That's pretty useful. And honestly, there are rules in that book for determining the likelihood of conception, uh, how likely it is for a character or NPC to become pregnant. I usually... Okay, so over the years, as I've come more into myself, I used to leave it up to a roll. Uh, Now I tend to just say like, okay, it's fine, don't worry about it, because honestly, firstly, most of my campaigns don't last months in game time, so if a character wanted a child to be part of an epilogue, fine, whatever, that's fine. But it's probably not going to be part of the story. I have a single exception. Now, I've been running an Eberron canon for a long time. Um, Not quite a decade yet, but about 6, 7 years, something like that. I'll have to go back and look now. But in that first campaign, one of the characters banged a dragon. Just pretty much simply, they freed the dragon from an imprisonment, and she and this dragon hit it off. And all right, fun. Now that's only important because, firstly, I think that was one of the first times one of my characters actually tried to have sex with an NPC, which was interesting because it was my girlfriend at the time, banging the dragon. So fun. And second, uh, that character eventually did, in epilogue, give birth to a half dragon, who is now an important character. Yes. So Glennis de Caneth banged Toratanalo, the silver dragon, and gave birth to who would become Toronal, the admiral of the fleet that the characters are currently serving under. So, nice little lineages. Lineages are neat. They're fun, and if you have an intergenerational canon going on, that's cool. So, now, of course, that's probably going to be the exception rather than the rule. Most campaigns that I know of. Yes, you do know that campaign, Claren. uh, let's see. Most campaigns that I'm aware of are not intergenerational, so they can be fun though. So don't discount that. Don't immediately toss that idea away. It could be neat. As long as your characters don't absolutely wreck the campaign setting in one go, consider the ramifications of those characters and maybe host your next campaign in that world. It's nice to have callbacks. But now I've gotten completely off topic from the main. Should I say the main thrust of the day's topic? Anyways, romance. We'll go a little bit back to the romantic side. Let's see. I'm going to try something. Quickly. Oh, no. Bring myself back. Hello. Jeez. Do not add that. Add display capture. Yeah, there we go. Oh. Oof. That was rough. Can I? Okay, fine. So, good to just try to keep this. Yeah, okay. I'm going to assume that you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing. So it's easier for one of my characters to flirt with this up on their screen. And, if I'm talking in a slightly higher pitch, a little bit more inflection, that's a bit more feminine. I know I don't do a great job, but, we can try. So, I'm going to hope that that actually worked and was not uh, as much of a mess on yours. It was kind of a bit of a mess. Oh well. I'll have to keep that in mind next time. Oh well. But so you can see, that's a little bit easier. Role flirting with an NPC is easier when you have a different visual. Now, true romance is difficult, just in general. It's one thing to just, flirt with a barmaid, have a exciting night at the tavern or at the inn, and then, continue questing. But I really do want to talk about the romance that's going on in one of my campaigns. Because it's actually that. It's not just, flirting, a one night stand, continue adventuring. So we have this artificer, Deschamps, the Monkey King. So he is Venaran. Okay, so he's kind of, well, I shouldn't say kind of. He's basically a more anthropomorphic monkey. Pretty simple, that. But I mean, roughly humanoid, just kind of extra hair and a tail. And there's that, and he spends a fair amount of time magically disguised as human, anyways. So I want to keep that in mind. And he's an artificer, so really into the making of magical items and more technical kinds of things, the engineers of the magical world. And one of their early adventures, actually, now, was saving that character, Ilyana. What's her last name again? Yeah, Ilyana Mancario, who is an arcane mechanic, and that mechanic with a K. Yes, because we have to specify, that this is different. Which is the Iron Kingdom's version of, not wizard, because there are wizards, but the people who make mechanica, who take mechanical engineering and magical engineering and smash it together and make something cool. And so they saved her from jail. Long story that. But the point is that, there was pretty quickly a rapport between Ilyana and Deschamps, because they're both kind of, professional courtesy first, and also, like, we do similar things, and we could learn a lot from each other. That kind of, really, that's an important part, all right? There's a foundation to the relationship that is realistic, okay? The characters would naturally spend time with each other and want to spend time with each other. Now, it doesn't have to be, romantic to begin with, and it's best that it didn't start romantic, okay? They saved her ass and then offered her a job, basically, which got her far away from the occupying force that had taken over her homeland and jailed her. And then just like, hey, we can learn a lot by working together. And they did, and they continue to, actually. And, working together, fighting alongside one another. For a long time, she was kind of the rogue of the party, uh, because simply because we didn't have a rogue. Don't think for a fair amount of time actually. Daesheng kind of filled the role a bit, but he was specialized in other areas. So Ilyana just kind of said, well, hey, I spent some time doing unsavory things, and I'm familiar with mechanical uh, devices like traps and locks. So, I could do some things. So she was very helpful, and she also had a warjack, which that does require a little bit of explanation. Do I have that book close at hand? I do. Just gonna set that aside. Yeah, I've got a mirror set up in front of my shelf, unfortunately. But so that I'm gonna try and there. Yeah, so that big hulking thing in the background, that's a warjack. And she's the one who knows how to control it. Now, of course, it's expensive to maintain, and very large and cumbersome. So they don't get to use it often, but when they do, oh boy. Especially a few levels ago, that was kind of the ultimate FU button. Just smash through the enemy, call it a day. So that, of course, and the other kinds of mechanica, magic-esque things that Ilyana brought to the table were just fascinating. And this, of course, led to a healthy respect and working relationship with Daesheng. Now, fast forward, there's a bit of, casual, not even casual flirting, but just kind of romantic tension growing. And I did talk to Daesheng, to the player of this character, and we agreed that Daesheng and Ilyana probably had a thing going. And slowly that's been built up over months of real time, easily weeks of in-game time. So these are important things. True romance takes time, just like in real life. It doesn't matter that you're constantly fighting for your life, but it it's kind of the point, It's like I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Just they're assigned to the same areas. As often as not, they're working on the same project, or even Ilyana will occasionally just join the party in whatever they're doing. So, yeah, they spend enough time together. It happens. Actually, it's funny because one of the characters found out, that this was kind of a thing going on. So he's just kind of pushing, like, now kiss kind of thing. And it can start small. Ilyana made a small, not warjack, but I think they're called servitors. So it's a little monkey. So because Daesheng, the idea is that he'll become kind of a Sun Wukong figure, so the Monkey King. So he needs monkeys to be the king of, right? So she made him a little servitor monkey, which is absolutely adorable, and everybody lost their minds on how cute that was. So, things to think about, right? Now, oh, let's see here. Trying to think of any other good examples, and that's probably the best I've ever seen thus far. Now, sex and romance and all this can be funny, and it can be enjoyable for everyone involved. Uh, I mean, we spent several minutes just howling over the changeling going streetwalker. Uh, and that's fine. And as long as everybody is having a good time, keep going. Now, if a few people uh, were notably uncomfortable and raised this to my attention, either in game or privately, then that's when you know that you have to stop. Keep your players comfortable. If, say, a couple of the players said, like, hey, I'm enjoying the campaign, don't worry, but, like, this whole subplot with Ilyana and Deishang is kind of weirding me out and taking me out of the game, then me as a DM, I have to figure out, like, okay, well, first, what's wrong? Is it just any romantic interaction? Okay, that's fine. Now, what do I do with it? Well, I can either just drop the plot thread entirely, which is kind of shitty. If Daesheng is invested in this relationship, it should not just stop. Uh, Personally, what I would do is I would take Daesheng aside and say, like, hey, okay, so we're going to leave this off screen mainly, and between sessions, you and I will do a bit of extra D&D. Sorry, dropped a thing. Uh, do a bit of extra roleplay and whatnot, and talk about how this relationship is developing. So, in that case, best of all worlds, right? Daesheng gets his relationship, and other players don't have to learn about the Monkey King's sex life, or, well, love life in this case. They are taking it slow, actually. It's kind of very nice, very cute in many regards. Probably because, in Daesheng's case, romance is not his main goal. His main goal is immortality, like 7 different ways to immortality and becoming a god. And when he has that taken care of, then his plan is to, like, okay, I've finished this. Now then, romance, yes. But either way, I think it's cute. I think it's a really adorable little relationship that's going on. Oh, sorry. Currently, check that. Okay. So, yeah, romance in D&D is as or almost as difficult as romance in real life. Um, it can be tricky. Yeah, hell, it can be even trickier, I guess, than in real life because instead of trying to flirt with the person who you would actually be attracted to, you are in fact just flirting with the DM. And I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea. So there is some extra challenges. Uh, on the plus side, it can be nice. Love is a part of the human condition. It is something that truly motivates us. It is important. I mean, how many? I mean, it's a trope. It is a cliche, the power of love, but it's a trope for a reason. It's a powerful force, and it can do a lot for good or for ill. So don't shy away too much from the idea of characters romancing. I am intrigued by the thought of two player characters romancing. That I don't think that's happened before in one of my campaigns, at least. Um, I have heard of other campaigns where it's happened, but um, I think one that I heard of was like the two characters romanced and got married, and later the two players were romancing and later got married. Um, so you get the idea. It can be important, it can be valuable, and honestly, it can also just be fun. Uh, it's it's love. Enjoy it, and honestly, I hope everybody has a wonderful Valentine's Day. And even if you do not have a Valentine, remember that afterwards, 50% off chocolate. So, hell yeah. So, until we meet again, dear friends, Hantanil Tulien Mildinin, and farewell.